Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nina Williams in Dev. I'm a friendly tree, and today I want to talk to you about Nina's amazing move, Ray Hands. The input, down forward 1+2. Alright, once again, let's make sure command history is on, we've got player attack info, hit properties, and detailed display of frame data for our character. That's all okay, character settings are okay. Alright, Ray Hands. It's called Ray Hands in the move list. I absolutely love this move. This is probably one of my favourite moves that Nina has, and she's had it for a long time. It's not a new move in Tekken 7, but it's very good at the moment in my opinion. Input is down forward 1+2, so it's down forward and 1+2 at the same time, and it looks like this. Now there is the risk of accidentally getting a down forward 1-2 or a down forward 2 if you input it wrong, and with that in mind it could be a good idea to map an extra button to 1+2. So I have a button mapped on my stick to 1+2 for these sort of inputs. Although I often will buffer, so I'll hold a button when I do it, something like that. Alright, so it's 16 frames startup. Second hit, you can see it's 1 frame gap of 2 active frames. It's kind of hard to see the active frames on the first hit, but 16 frames startup. And you see how it's plus 20 on hit. Plus 20! But this is a guard break. On guard, -3, which is still amazing. Some people don't like the pushback, but I think the pushback is amazing because it's perfect for Nina to bait or set things up. This move is just so versatile in its uses. I mean, nothing to point out, no different properties on counter hit, still plus 20, but it does 1 extra point of damage. The damage is a little bit of an issue with this move, but it is a very fast mid-homing move. It's a move that I think should be used constantly. Another issue as well as the damage is the range. So at range 2 it reaches, 2.1 it just reaches, 2.2 it whiffs. But that's where, I mean, you can always dash, or you can do a down forward motion. Nina's crouch dash, as we've talked about. With that in mind, you can increase the range of this move at the cost of speed, and it's already very fast. I think this is an amazing homing move, but I guess at the moment I do need to explore how to use back 2-2 more as well, now that that's a homing move too, as well as down back 2, which is obviously a lot slower. Alright, so the amazing thing about this move is, I mean, it catches people stepping both directions of course. You can play with the timing of it, you can use it in mix-ups. You can delay that quite a lot. Or you can do it instantly. And with the pushback on block, like I said, you can set a lot of different things up. Now what's so great about the pushback on this? It got buffed so that it doesn't knock them back as far on hit. Okay, but it does knock them back very far on block. So it doesn't knock them back as far on hit, which has some pros and some cons. Because on hit, you're at plus 20, you're forcing them into a guessing game. You can do, oh sorry, we want that to block. They have to guess between the lows, and take note that down back 3 and down 2 are both 20 frames, and because they're 20 frames, in this situation, they cannot be parried. So if you try and low parry this, you'll fail. Also because it's frame tight, no one has any way that they can really evade this without using an invulnerable move, which is pretty much exclusive to, exclusive to the 2D characters. And even that's frame tight to do. So they have to guess here. And what's even scarier, because of the range, up for 2-1 will also reach. Whoops. So if you're having to guess between that is a tight window because it's a 2 frame difference. You could technically fuzzy it, but then if they're fuzzying it, if you somehow catch on to them fuzzying, just delay the up forward 2 by a few frames. If you're really good at this, you could manually time it each time so that they do come out on the same frame, or roughly the same frame. Because even if you delay it slightly, even if it doesn't come out on frame 20, it's stuffing up any kind of fuzzy window they have, and as long as you're not doing it like 10 frames too slow, there's still nothing they can do there. So that's very strong. That's a strong situation to be in with Ray hands. I just love this move because of the situations it can give. It does tailspin. However, it's not really used in combos because of the low damage and the fact it's 2 hits. So why would you do that when you could do that? 11 more points of damage, for example. But you can use it in some interesting things at the wall with the bears, for example. Speaking of, let's go to the wall and just have a look at what it can do at the wall. So, one thing that a lot of people weren't happy with in Season 3 was the change to the ballerina spin move. So this is what we call a ballerina spin, because it sends the opponent spinning back and gives you huge frame advantage. And it does mean that where we may have been able to get a wall splat before, we can't anymore. That's okay. It's still wall splats, still gives a ton of damage. Sorry, a bit slower. No, okay. Yeah, we do want to go this way. Just gotta get the timing right. Nah. Oh well, you can always do things like that. So it's still a great option. Oh, sorry, easy mode. Things like that. Yeah. It's still great because it's a safe homing wall splat move, even if the range isn't as good. With that in mind, it can be used for a lot of Oki, which we'll go over in application shortly. What else do we need to talk about? So it does wall splat. It can be used in wall combos too. So, for example, if we go to a few different characters here. Actually, we'll start with Nina. Sorry, we'll start with Nina. So, for example, on Nina, this doesn't work. Oh. And then if I go to someone like, who doesn't annoy me? Kazuya does, but oh well, we've already picked him. Now if we go to a sort of a standard build character like Kazuya, that works. That's with a 1 jab, 50 damage. So, I mean, if you compare that to that, 52, or this one, 54, it's not worth it, is it? Not at this stage. But if we then go, oh, I've got to remember as a king. I think it's Armor King. I can never remember which is which, sorry. Oh, there we go. So now I can do 52 damage, because I can do a 2 jab there instead. And the advantage of this, I mean, is that's more damage than ending with the up forward 3 if you do the normal route there. So you can get the same Oki, 2 more damage against King there. And then, yeah, we'll just go Marduk. If we go against someone like Marduk, you can do something such as down forward 1, 53 damage. Although with Marduk you can get that, of course. So it can be used mid-wall hit for some quite optimal stuff. I'm not going to go over all the details there, but there are just some examples. And then with the bears, with what we like to call a janky hurt box, we get to do some different things on the bears at the wall. So for example, can you do 2 in a row? You can, can't you? But if I go do, you can send them away from the wall and you can get different stuff. And I mean, they may be back turned. Oh. But you could still do something like that. Oh, I thought that worked. Sorry. You can still do, oh my god. You can still do Rage Drive anyway. Yeah. And you can see the position there. You can get some pretty crazy Oki off it. Yeah. Alright. Let's turn Rage off. And let's move on to the application. Alright. Let's see how we can use Ray Hands in a match. So first off, I mentioned it is a homing move. It's 16 frames. At 16 frames, it's not really a frame trap tool. I mean, if you trade, it's not too favourable. So I wouldn't use it as a frame trap because it's low damage. If you're trading with something, you're getting the 5 damage from the first hit, and that's it. So even if they do a jab, they're getting more damage than you. And the frame advantage, I mean, you're not really in a position where you get anything off that either. So it's not a move you'd use for a frame trap, but you could after something like that if you wanted. If you thought they were going to duck a throw attempt or just try and backdash out or do something at high frame advantage for some reason, you could do it off these moves that are high frame advantage. But it's probably not optimal there. You can, however, use it in situations when you think people are going to sidestep. So we haven't got on hit. So if we go like that, and I do another down forward 1, it can catch if I do it instantly, but if you delay it a little bit, it won't. But here, you could do that. And I mean, the glorious thing about this move is it may not be a high reward there, but it sets Nina up for amazing mind games on hit. So the application there is it's catching people stepping. And likewise if they step the other way, it can be the same sort of thing. You've got to be careful what you're doing because Nina can be quite linear. So here, you can use this move. And you get that sweet, sweet mind game there. Alright? Now the other thing of course is backdashing, because a lot of people say you can just backdash Nina. So, even things like that will whiff. This won't. Depending on the situation, like I said, you can sacrifice frames and chase them with that, or just dash forward and do it. I'd also suggest at times, oops, oh my god, doing it here. Because people may be scared of the mind game here, but you're getting into a different mind game once you do that, even if it's blocked. With that in mind, at -3, we got to think about what we can do on block, because you're all familiar with what you can do on hit, but what about on block? So, put this back on guard all, go record. So if I just go this into this, oops. Right, it's not the best there, but at -3, you can backdash. So suddenly you're in a position where your backdash is strong. A lot of characters won't have anything that can catch. So this is where you can really bait a whiff. And you can get a read on the opponent. And you can not only bait a whiff, but you can see if they're freezing, you can use that opportunity. That's a punish, by the way. But if they're freezing there, you can even use it as an approach tool. So I'm not sure how many of you watch my streams. You see, I might use this a few times in a row on either block or hit, if I've noticed the opponent's respecting it. because it's locking them down, it's making them scared of crouching, it's making them scared of sidestepping, and you're pushing them closer to the wall. While at any moment, if they try and retaliate, you can bait a whiff and you can get a big reward. With that in mind, I mean, any type of situation like this, I've talked about the rule of threes before. Often on the third time, someone will do something different. So what they expect there is I might run up and do that, or I can backdash if I think they're going to retaliate. Anyway, I can do this just to get a feel for how the opponent's playing. So it's another tool, another one of many tools you can use to figure out how the opponent plays and how they're thinking. If they're sleeping behind the wheel, quite often after the second one, they'll do something, even if it's just some type of movement, but you can still catch them by doing it. Alright, so it can catch stepping, it can set you up perfectly for whiff punishes, and on hit, it gives you an amazing guessing game, gives you an amazing 50-50. What about at the wall? So we've already talked about combos at the wall, so I'm not going to go into the combos again, but I will talk about using it for Oki. This is one of the things that a lot of people think got nerfed, and in a way it did, but a nerf isn't always a terrible thing. It just means we have to adjust what we're doing and how we play. So for example, if I go dun 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 into that covers everything they'll do. So if they, well, we won't bother standing up. If they side roll, they can avoid it. If they do a mid kick, sorry, it won't cover everything they do, but it's close. If you do a mid kick, it'll hit them. If they do a low kick, it'll hit them and splat. Some of this may be character dependent, by the way, so that may not always splat. If they do a recovery kick, they win. If they do a spring kick, it'll trade. It shouldn't trade, hold on. Did I do it too slow? Oh, okay, it trades. That'll depend on the spring kick too. If they tech roll, they have to block it. So it's still, if they get up and block low, they're still caught. And you can still do those sort of mind games you want, or you can continue approaching or do what you want. And that's tech roll either direction. Okay, if we don't go guard all, I just want to point out. So, if they tech here, it won't splat. If they tick the other way, it won't splat either, but you still get that sweet 50-50. Whoop. If they just stand up, hey, if they just stand up, they'll get wall splat. Anyway, take my word for it. Now, a lot of people aren't happy because the mid-kick option. How it doesn't wall splat anymore. But this is just where we need to change what we do. Okay, so the mid-kick doesn't wall splat there, but it does if you end in up forward 3. And this is where the combos I was talking about before come into play. So I can do different combos depending on what I want to do. Obviously for smaller characters I can't get as much damage, but I gave an example using Ray Hands before in a combo how you can get the same damage as doing the forward 1+2 enders while ending with up forward 3 instead. Meaning against a lot of the cast you don't have to sacrifice damage compared to what most people are doing, and you can still get the exact same Oki, exact same wall splitting situation. And now this is where it even gets better. If you ended up forward 3 here, that will win. And, oh sorry, if they do a spring kick, you just reset the situation. So it's honestly, it's a cover all situation, except them staying grounded or doing a recovery kick. So it still has its uses there. It can still be very strong at the wall. We just need to change the type of combos we're doing, okay? I mean, likewise, another combo route you can do, down forward 1, up forward 3. Alright? Or side step 1, down forward 1, up forward 3. Alright? So those are things you can do with Ray hands at the wall. As well as combo application, you can use it for Oki there very well, as a good cover pretty much every base option. And then as I've shown before, even on block, you still get those mind games, because it does still push back. So it's not a tool you want to use to stay near the wall, but it is a tool in a mind game itself. And then for your wall pressure, because it's a wall splat, it's a very common part. It's a very common part of side step 1 cancers. Just you've got to use it in conjunction and realize that when you do it, that's not the mind game over. It's just a different type of mind game. It's where Nina excels in negative frames opposed to positive. Alright? So often after that, because people think it's, well, know it's negative and the pushback, they may try and approach, they may try and retaliate. This is where you can do anything you want to try and keep them at the wall or bait a whiff. We all know people get quite panicky at the wall and try and find a way out. It may even just be through movement, so you could just try following them with sidestepping too. You could sidestep and do another one. Yeah. So keep that in mind. Realize that Ray hands is still a very strong move. Yeah. So in the summary, Nina's Ray hands, down forward 1+2, is a 16 frame mid double hit homing tail spin mid. I said mid twice, didn't I? But it's 2 mids, it's so good. The weaknesses of it are, of course, it doesn't do much damage, and it doesn't have much range. But we can use crouch dash, or even just dashing forward, to help with the range. On hit, it gives you an amazing mix-up. On block, it gives you great pushback to set up some amazing baits. It can wall splat at the wall, it can tail spin, it can just be used in such a versatile way. It can catch people who are sidestepping. If you use it right, it can catch people backdashing. It's a move that I highly recommend every Nina player makes the most of. How do you use Ray hands? Please let me know by commenting below. Yeah, like I said, it is one of my favourite moves. Please like and subscribe. Check out more of my content, and like I said, comment below how you use this move. What do you think of it? Let me know. Thanks everyone, I'm a friendly tree. I'll catch you next time.
You win.
What's done is done.